Man, rapping and tapping is my game. Fucking up motherfuckers. It's my game to do already. Shit. I whoop, I whoop Monday, what Tuesday. I put Wednesday in the hospital. All right, meet Mr. Rudy Ray Moore. His real name is Rudolph Frank Moore. He is a was an American comedian, singer, actor, and film producer. He created the character Dolomite, the pimp from the 1975 film Dolomite. It's named Dolomite right there. And its sequels, The Human Tornado and The Dolomite Explosion, aka The Return of Dolomite. The persona was developed during his early comedy records. The recordings often featured Moore delivering the profanity-filled rhyming poetry, which later earned Moore the nickname the Godfather of Rap. Actor and comedian Edward Reagan Murphy portrayed Moore in the 2019 film Dolomite is My Name. This is his story right here, folks. Moore was born and raised in the Johnson House on 1400 North 12th Street in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and eventually moved to Akron, Ohio, and then Milwaukee. In Milwaukee, he preached in churches and worked as a nightclub dancer. He returned to Akron, working in clubs as a singer, dancer, and a comedian, often appearing in a character as Prince Dumar. He joined the U.S. Army and served in an entertainment unit in Germany, where he was nicknamed the Harlem Hillbilly. The Harlem Hillbilly for singing country songs in an R&B style that was known as rhythm and blues. That's what it's abbreviated as R&B. He developed an interest in comedy in the army after expanding on a singing performance for other servicemen. For other servicemen, after his honorable discharge, that he lived in Seattle, Washington, and then Los Angeles, California, where he continued to work in the clubs and was discovered by record producer Dootsy Williams, Walter D. Williams Jr. He recorded the rhythm and blues songs. He recorded the R&B songs, the rhythm and blues the songs that he recorded uh, for federal for federal records, Cash Records, Ball and Kent Records, and Imperial Records labels between 1955 and 1962, and he released his first comedy albums Below the Belt in 1961, the Beatnik Scene in 1962, and A Comedian is Born in 1964. This is the career that started with Dolomite Records and wider acclaim. By his own account, Moore was working at the world famous Dolphins of Hollywood record store in Los Angeles in 1970, where he began hearing obscene stories of Dolomite recounted by a local man named Rico. Moore recorded a number of street poets, including Big Brown, who had to be William Clifford Brown, who, where he moved to Los Angeles, had been an influence on Bob Dylan, among other artists. That's right, among other artists, while living in Greenwich Village. Greenwich Village. Dylan said that Brown's poetry was the best poetry he had ever heard. In 1973, Moore produced Brown's album, The First Man of Poetry, Big Brown Between Heaven and Hell. According to Moore, the genesis for his decision to develop the Dolomite character came when he invited Rico into the Dolphins, into that company, into that club called Dolphins. It was a record. There was a club. It was a record store. It was called Dolphins. That's where the genesis for. This was genesis for Moore's decision to develop the character Dolomite, and it came when he invited Rico into the world's famous Dolphins of Hollywood record store, where he let him perform. And this is where Rico told Moore and that's what Moore. This is what Moore did not know of. He didn't know that he was going to tell Rico. Well, Rico, what's this words here? It says, Rico, you do Dolomite. I'm gonna give you some money for soup. He did. Dolomite in the middle of the floor in the store. I was working and the people just rolled. So I thought then, he's not a professional. I'm a professional comedian. What if I did Dolomite? Sure enough, I invited him to my house, give him a little reefer and some wine. He put Dolomite on tape. I recorded it. The rest is history. Moore had began recording the stories and assumed the role of Dolomite in his club act. That's what the word is. That's what happened. Let me start back over. When Rudolph Frank Moore began recording the stories, and he assumed the role of the character Dolomite in his club act, and on recordings in 1970 to 1971 that he recorded the 3 albums of material. Eat Out More Often, This Pussy Belongs to Me, and The Dirty Dozens. Where would jazz and R&B musicians where were the jazz and R&B musicians playing in the background? Moore would just recite the raunchy, sexually explicit rhymes that often had to do with the pimps, prostitutes, players, and hustlers. Moore himself was influenced by the more mainstream comedians such as Red Fox and Richard Pryor, as well as by traditions such as the characters like the Dozens. It was a game. It was between 2 contestants in which the participants insult each other until one of them gives up. The recordings were usually made in Moore's apartment. In Moore's apartment with all the friends that he known in attendance to give a party atmosphere. The album covers and contents were often too racy to be put on display in record stores, but the records became popular through the word of mouth and were highly successful in the Black American communities, where his worked wit and anti-establishment outlook were embraced. The Dolomite movie and the later success that he had. Let me explain to you for a minute about Rudy. Moore has spent most of his earnings from the records that he had done to finance the movie. The movie that I will show you here, Dolomite, Dolomite, which stated filming, which has started filming. That's what the name is. Let me tell you about what Rudy Ray Moore did. Rudy Ray Moore has spent most of his earnings from the records to finance the movie Dolomite, which have started filming in January of 1974. It was released and distributed nationally beginning in April of 1975. and has been described as one of the great black exploitation movies of the 1970s. The character was so like the ultimate ghetto hero, a bad dude, profane, skilled at kung fu, dressed to kill, and hell bent on protecting the community from the evil menaces. He was a pimp with a kung fu fighting clique of prostitutes, and he was known for his sexual prowess. The film was so successful. The film was so successful and was followed by the names like the Human Tornado. Human Tornado in 1976 here. They got the Monkey Hustle in that was around the same year as the Human Tornado. Rudy was working with Yaphet Kotto. Rest in peace. And they got the 1977 film P.T. Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law. Moore had continued to release the albums that he appealed to his enduring fan base throughout the 1970s and the 1980s, respectively. But little of his work reached a white audience. His rapid fire rhyming salaciousness. That's where I got rephrase. Rhyming salaciousness exceeded the wildest excesses of Fox and Pryor. In his highly explicit style that kept him off of television and major films alone. At the same time, Moore had often spoke in his church and regularly took his mother to the National Baptist Convention. It was like he said that I wasn't saying dirty words to just say them. It was a form of art, sketches in which I developed ghetto characters who cursed. I don't want to be referred to as a dirty old man, rather a ghetto expressionist. But later careers, this is what they're talking about. The later careers that happened in the days back in the 90s. In 1990, Rudolph Frank Moore, he appeared in Big Daddy Kane's album Taste of Chocolate. That's album number 3 by Big Daddy Kane. That's from Cold Chillin' Records. And Eric B. and Rakim's The Ghetto, I think. Yeah, and that's what it was. That's how Rudy Ray Moore had appeared in these videos. He appeared in the album that was called The Taste of Chocolate, that came from Big Daddy Kane. For Big Daddy Kane, yeah, Big Daddy Kane. He has an album that comes out called Taste of Chocolate. It was that was his third album. That was in 1990. And another thing goes when he was appeared in a music video. It was called In the Ghetto. That was from the likes. That was from the likes of Eric B. and Rakim. Okay. Yeah, he appeared in a Taste of Chocolate album that was from Big Daddy Kane and Eric B. and Rakim's music video for In the Ghetto. That's 4 years later that he appeared on Method Man's solo album. It was called Tikal. Tikal right there. This was released. It was released like the year after Wu Tang Clan came out with Into the 36 Chambers in 1993. And oh yeah, and the album that Two Live Crew came out with, Two Live Crew. I think he appeared on an album. It was Method Man's album Tikal, and he appeared on Two Live Crew's album. It was called Back at Your Ass for the Nine Folk. Two Live Crew, man, they attributed their use of obscenity laden lyrics to Moore's Act. After appearing on a 1995 episode of Martin, it was titled "The Players Came Home." That's what it's called. The Players Came Home. He reprised the Dolomite character that was for the intro of Busta Rhymes album. When Disaster Strikes. I already listened to that album. Look this album. I listened to that album while I was on my way home. Look, I usually come home while I listen to the album, and more was featured in this album. So he had reprised that character that was for Snoop Dogg's album. Um, No Limit Top Dog. It was in 1998, I think. But it's not. Now it wasn't even out in 1999. I think I know what I was doing. Let me see. Let me see here. More has reprised the Dolomite character that was for the intro of Busta Rhymes' 1997 album When Disaster Strikes. He appeared in a 1999 album that was from Snoop Dogg. It was called No Limit Top Dog. That's his second album that was from like 1999. It was his 19 now Snoop's 1999 album No Limit Top Dog. And he did be he was already it was already in oh yeah, Old Dirty Bastards 1999 music video, I Got Your Money, in which the rapper was digitally inserted into scenes of Dolomite. He again reprised the Dolomite name in the 2000 film Big Money Hustlers. I think I've seen the I say I've seen the movie already. I've seen the movie already when Rudy was already featured in it. It was a film that was created by and starring the rap rock group who goes by the name of Violet J and Shaggy Two Dope. And their real names were Joseph Utzler and Joseph Bruce. And they are the insane clown posse. In 2001, Moore himself was a featured guest in the intro. Yeah, he was a featured guest in the intro of Busta Rhymes' album. It was called Genesis. Genesis. But like 5 years later behind it, Moore had voice acted in the show called Sons of Butcher. It's called Sons of Butcher as the character Rudy that was in and then he played the Joseph character in season two. Moore had reprised the character P.T. Wheatstraw back in the 70s, but he did that on the 2008 song "I Live for the Funk," which featured Blowfly, and Daniel Jordan. It marked the first time Blowfly and Moore collaborated on the same record together, as well as the 30-year anniversary of the P.T. Wheatstraw movie. It was also the final recording that Moore had made before his death in 2008. His personal life, I gotta look at this now. I got small things I gotta look at. I gotta look at now. Oh, this is the idiocy. I don't even know why. Rudy Ray Moore, man. Rudy Ray Moore ain't playing this time. He had never even married a day in his life. His longtime manager, Donald Randall, um, and entertainer Stanton Z. LaVey, a friend of Moore's, but he said this in 2000, but Furthermore, who had to be Stanton Z. LaVey, he started saying that in 2019, after Moore's untimely death, that like he said he said that LaVey has said that Moore was like very much bisexual, if not gay, and that his Dolomite persona helped cover that up. Oh boy, it's the death there. It's sad for me to read this crap. I gotta keep reading this crap until the end of it. Oh, this is where we had to go read this though. We got to read this. On October the 19th, 2008, Rudolph Frank Moore, also known as Rudy Ray Moore, died in Toledo, Ohio. He died in Toledo, Ohio of the complications from diabetes. And guess who survived him? His mother, his two brothers, his two sisters, his daughter, and his grandchildren. He died in Toledo, Ohio on October the 19th, 2008. That was of the complications from diabetes. It was so sad. But his mother, two brothers, two sisters, a daughter, and grandchildren has survived him. See, he will always be that character, but he could be a maverick. He could always be the maverick that everybody else have respected. His legacy will show you his legacy. His legacy here, he came to be regarded as a major influence by many later rap stars. Snoop Dogg said that without Rudy Ray Moore, there would be no Snoop Dogg, and that's for real. On June 7th, 2018, it was announced that Craig Brewer would direct a movie that came from a script that was by Scott Alexander and Larry Karazui's. That's what names. Let me explain. Let me go read this crap now. This bullshit now I gotta fucking read. On June 7th, 2018, it was announced that Craig Brewer would direct Dolomite is My Name from a script by Scott Alexander and Karazuski. Larry Karazuski. With Netflix producing and distributing, and Eddie Murphy starring as Moore himself. Later that month, the rest of the principal cast was announced. In July of 2018, the names of people that have been joining it are Christopher Julius Rock and Ronald Cephas Jones joined the cast. The principal photography began on June 12th, 2018. And let me explain this here. In August of 2019, the trailer was released. The film premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 7th, 2019, and received a limited release on October the 4th of 2019. That was the anniversary. That was like before the anniversary of the death of Mr. Rudolph Frank Moore, aka the Maverick Dolomite. Yeah, I've been explaining this though. Let me repeat it. Let me repeat this again. In August of 2019, the trailer was released. The film had premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 7th, 2019, and received a limited release on October the 4th, 2019, before digital streaming on October the 25th, 2019. But in January of 2022, a detailed biography, a detailed biography, that was short for bio, it says, "Thank you. Thank you for letting me be myself." The authorized biography of Rudy Ray Moore, aka Dolomite, by Mark Jason Murray, was released. The discography here, there's Below the Belt, Beatnik Scene, a comedian was born. Obviously, let me read this discography that I had to put down here. Uh, Below the Belt, Beatnik Scene, a comedian is born. Let's come together. Eat out more often. This pussy belongs to me. Dolomite for president. Merry Christmas, baby. The Cockpit with P.T. Wheatstraw, the devil's son-in-law. The Return of Dolomite, featuring the grunts and groans of love. The Sensuous Black Man by the Prince Zodiac. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. Jokes by Red Fox. Live in concert. The Player, the Hustler. House Party, Dirty Dozens, Volume 1, The Streaker. Dolomite is another crazy nigga. That's what it says. That's what it says. Dolomite is another crazy nigga. Like Nigger. That's like, why does Dolomite just call himself this? Like, oh, he's just another crazy ass nigga. That's what he is. Sweet Peter Jeter. Close encounter of the sex kind. Yeah, that's what it says. That's what it means. Close encounter of the sex kind. Good old big ones. Hip shaking Papa. Greatest hits. This ain't no white Christmas. Raw, rude, and real. More greatest hits. Phantom Surfers. Triple X Party. 21st century Dolomite. The Genius of Rudy Ray Moore. Dolomite for President. Special edition. 50 years of cussing. Same thing. Yeah, that in volume 2. That was from 2009 and 2019. There's music right here. It was called The Turning Point. Holy Goalie Fever. And the singles right there, it says it's all the singles that came from the record labels. Like Step It Up and Go. Below the Belt, The Roosevelt, Let's Come Together, My Soul, Rally in the Valley, Holy Goalie Papa. The filmography was from the 70s to the 90s and then the 2000s. I don't even know. This is all the work that came from Moore. Dolomite, The Human Tornado, The Monkey Hustle, P.T. Wheatstraw, Disco Godfather, Penitentiary 2, The Legend of Dolomite, Murder Was the Case, the movie, Martin, The Violent New Breed, Babs, Faking the Funk, Shaolin Dolomite, Jackie's Back, Big Money Hustlers, Shoe Shine Boys, The Return of Dolomite, Wetlands in New York City, Rude, The Watermelon Heist, The Legend of Dolomite, Bigger and Badder, Vampire Assassin, Sons of Butcher, a stupid movie for jerks. It came from Trafalgar. Dolomite is my name. I ain't reading no references, man. I had enough reading references now. I can't deal with the references now. I had enough references to read. I read that enough from Richard Pryor. I ain't gonna read none of that shit from regarding this man right here, Rudy Ray Moore. Looks like it's my job to memorialize this man, just like I did the likes of Richard Pryor. Let's put the name right there then. Hold on for a minute. March the 17th, 1927. I got that. Shit, shit, I gotta go write it down too. Okay, October the 19th, 2008. I got it too. Yep, I got to do it though. If I can't even do a live show based on other comedians, why try Mr. Rudolph Frank Moore? You know what I'm saying? I had to pick the right time to try out this live show. So I gotta dedicate this to. But if you like this video, if you see that I had to preserve the legacy of Mr. Rudolph Frank Moore, who's also known as Rudy Ray Moore. You like this video of me telling the story and preserving the legacy of Mr. Moore, hit the like button on this video and you'll get to see this video for what it was. Everybody in this motherfucker thinks I'm this vulgar and and um and profane as Rudy Ray Moore is. Rudy Ray Moore is doing all the profane shit. Richard Pryor could have done a little of it. He learned that style of comedy from the legs of Bill Cosby. Motherfuckers think I'm just as worse as Mr. Dolomite himself, Rudy Ray Moore. Yeah, Rudy Ray Moore is he all the profanity he can possibly put out in his comedy records that he would have done. So that's his style of things, man. That's the man's like a pimp. He been pimping. He been pimping when pimping was even around. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, these guys already became more known. You know, you have like Robert Beck, who had to be Iceberg Slim, I think. You have you have Max Julian. He was like original Mac and player. You have other guys that have been around when he was around. Virgil Fairley. Virgil Fairley. He was a pimp too. Everybody in their mama was pimps. But Richard Pryor, he ain't no pimp. He doesn't want to be a pimp. Rudy Ray Moore is one of them. He's a pimp. But all you gotta do is drop the comments below after you're done watching this video. I'm about to jump on back to playing you know, Rogue Company again. But this live show is dedicated into the memory of one of the guys who have created the Dolomite character, Rudolph Frank Moore. He is known professionally. As Rudy Ray Moore, but he will always be the Maverick, known as Dolomite. Yeah, he will always be the Maverick, known as Dolomite. Always. He was born in March the 17th, 1927, and he died on October the 19th, 2008. Rest in peace, Mr. Rudolph Frank Moore.